I wanted to make an overview video that gives a little more details about the different aspects of the class, things like assignments and due dates and things like that. All of this information can be found in iLearn, but I feel like it's helpful for me to be able to explain it in my own words and you to have it all in one place. So please refer back to this video if you have questions about assignments later on. You have a lot of information all at once right here at the beginning, so try to keep this in mind when you start your assignments next week. So this class works in units rather than having weekly due dates. It's a little different to get used to. So you're not going to have weekly assignments due on the same day every week like you do in some of the other classes. We have units that are 2.5 weeks long. So each unit will have 3 or 4 chapters worth of material that you'll be responsible for. So everything for those 3 or 4 chapters is going to be due at the end of the unit, which is every 2.5 weeks. So you're going to have probably at least 10 different assignments all due on the same day, which is extremely overwhelming if you wait until the last minute. So please just start early, work your way through the 2.5 weeks and be doing the assignments all along. If you wait until the last couple of days right at the end of the unit, you will not have time to finish everything. It can be deceiving when you look at that due date to think, oh, I've got almost 3 weeks, I don't need to start on that yet. But it's going to cause you problems if you look at it that way. Please don't procrastinate. That's the #1 tip that I always give students is that start early and work your way through the whole 2.5 weeks. Do not wait until the last day. You won't have time to finish everything. The next thing is the announcements section on iLearn. That's where I will be posting all the important information about the class. So please check in there regularly. That way you'll be up to date on everything that's going on. Here's a picture of the textbook. It's The Developing Person by Kathleen Berger. Make sure to get the 9th edition. There's a newer edition out and some older editions also floating around. Just make sure you get this one that's in the picture. It's the 9th edition. If you have the wrong edition, your page numbers are going to be messed up and there might not be all the same information that you need to answer the questions. And then also, please watch all of the videos and do all the other reading that you'll find on iLearn. As you go through the content tab, which is the bulk of the course of where all the course information is under content, you'll see a lot of links to videos, and some of them are pretty long. So you want to make sure to watch all of those videos because you will be responsible for that information. A lot of the questions on your assignments are going to refer back to those videos. So you have to make sure that you're watching the videos. The other tip I will give you is to do your assignments as you're doing your reading and watching the videos. Don't wait until you've read all 3 chapters and gone through all the content and then try to start your assignments. Go ahead and download those files and stuff at the beginning so you can be working on it all the way through as you're doing your reading and as you're watching the videos. And I'll explain a little bit more on the next slide about that. First, some disclaimers. This course curriculum, as with all online classes here at BYUI, the curriculum is created by a group of instructors that are on campus. So I personally do not write the questions. I do not post the videos. I do not come up with the curriculum. So I have all of this stuff that's been given to me, and then I have to work with it based on what's there. So if there's a link that's not working, just let me know. I will have to then email the course designers, and then they can fix it. So I kind of am the middleman here between the people who set up the class and the students who are actually taking the class. So some of the questions are confusing, or they have a typo, or there's something weird about it. Just please remember that I don't write the questions, so I get it. Sometimes it's a little weird, but I'm happy to clarify all of those things. So if you go to the questions and conversations discussion board and ask me, what are they referring to at this question? I don't understand this question. I'm happy to help guide you on how to answer that. So don't be shy about asking questions. And if you put it on that questions and conversations discussion board, then everyone will be able to see it. Because if you're wondering something about a question that seems vague or confusing, then probably a lot of other people are too. The other thing is that the quizzes, for some reason, sometimes don't match up with the textbook. And it can be really frustrating if you're taking a quiz and you can't find the information or something doesn't seem right. If there's a typo on the quiz or you can't find the info for the quiz questions, again, just email me and I'm happy to fix your grade if there is a legitimate problem with the quiz. It happens. I know it's frustrating, but let me know. I'm always willing to work with you on things like that. So anytime something looks weird, please email me so that I can try to get it fixed. The last disclaimer is that this is not an easy A class. Now, I don't say that to scare people away, but I do say that so that you'll be prepared and know what the expectations are going to be ahead of time. I think a lot of people see child development and they think, oh, how hard could that be? I have kids, or I was a kid, or I know lots of kids. Like, yeah, I'll take that. That'll be an easy class. That's not the case. There's actually a lot of reading, a lot of writing. It's some pretty scientific things. So it really is not one of these fluff kind of classes that you can just breeze through. I just want you to be aware ahead of time that if you are not prepared to really put in a lot of time on this class, just really think about that decision to take it. If that's what your expectation is going in, then you'll probably be surprised and disappointed as you go through the class. It really is a lot of work. But that being said, it's so much great information that is really applicable to your real life, like in your own families, that I feel like it's worth every minute that you put into it. Okay, next up is assignments. All right, so I'm going to go through this assignment list and look at that huge list of assignments. Yes, it's a lot, which is kind of what I was just referring to. There's a lot to do in this class. So the first one is the fact or fiction quizzes. These are just pre-tests to like see what you know before you do any of the reading. That being said, your grade on these fact or fiction quizzes does not count. So let me repeat, these quizzes do not count towards your grade, fact or fiction. I totally understand if you want to just breeze through, click, 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 and then move on, because it's time consuming to try to figure out the answer when you don't know any of the information yet. It will help you kind of focus in and see what you're going to be learning during that chapter. So fact or fiction is not counted towards your grade. Do with that what you want to do. Okay, and then the reading and the videos. You'll always have lots of chapter reading to do and watching videos on iLearn. It's super important to read every chapter and watch every video. Then you'll have your journal entries. The name journal is a little misleading because you might think it's just your thoughts as you go through, but it's not. You're actually answering questions based on the information in the textbook and the information that you're going to be watching in those videos. So what you want to do is download that journal file. So go to the Dropbox assignments first and get these files at the beginning of each unit. Don't wait until the end of the unit to start downloading the journal or the Dear Abby or whatever. Get it right away so that as you're reading through the textbook and watching the videos, you can be guiding yourself through these assignments. So you're going to save all of your entries from the whole unit onto this one journal file, and then you'll turn it in at the very end. So you're going to be working on it for 2.5 weeks. So you want to keep going back to this file and saving it as you go along. So you're not turning in a separate journal for each chapter. There's going to be like 3 or 4 chapters worth of journal questions all in one file. And those will be turned in under the Dropbox tab. The reading tech points are like quizzes for each chapter. You can use your textbook when you're taking them. They're just timed, so you have to kind of know where to find the answers. You can't just take it and expect that you'll be able to flip through and find them. You will run out of time if you do that. You get 3 attempts on those, so it'll take your highest attempt. So if you take it the first time and you don't do well, you can take it again. The Dear Abby assignment, this one, it's really, really important to use textbook facts. As much as it is nice to have your own personal stories and your own opinions on things, please don't use that in the Dear Abby assignment. Your answers need to be expert opinions. So basically, somebody's asking you a question about a child development concept or something about a kid going through a stage of something in real life. They're not real life. They're just made up. But anyway, you get the idea. Someone's asking you a question, and then you are the child development expert, and you're going to answer based on the textbook and the videos, not based on what your Aunt Sally did when you were 5 years old, okay? You need to have page numbers on this assignment showing where you got your answer from. If you do not have page numbers, I will take off points. You also need to have a minimum word count, which is written into the instructions. It's 2,200 words. If you do not meet the minimum word count, I will also take off points for that. For the word count, it's for the entire document. So for all 9 questions, and so the question and the answer. So you include the original question and the answer. You can put the instructions in there. Just make sure you do a word count before you submit. That's the first thing I'm going to check. And then I'll check for page numbers, and then I will make sure that you have 9 questions answered. So it's 3 for each chapter. There aren't any for chapter 1. It starts with chapter 2. So you'll have 3 chapters for each Dear Abby, and you'll answer 3 questions for each chapter for a total of 9 on each Dear Abby assignment. Okay, then you'll have an observation where you, again, download a study guide, you'll watch some videos, and then you'll answer questions about those videos. That assignment, I don't grade it as strictly. I just want to make sure that you've watched the videos, that you've read the textbook, and that you your answers make sense. You're not going to get as specific of feedback on those assignments. On the other 2, the Dear Abby and the journal, you're going to get really specific feedback about why I took off points or why you didn't get full credit for an answer. So please read my feedback. That really will help you to know how to do better the next time if you got points taken off. Okay, then the collaborative quest is the discussion board. There's usually 2 discussion boards for each unit. On the first unit, Unit 1, it's just an introduction, so it's easy. But Units 2 through 5 is some kind of child development topic, and then you're discussing it in a smaller group. So the first one is the whole class, and then I'll break you into smaller groups for those later units. So you just want to make sure that you get your first post done earlier in the unit, like during the first week, so then everyone's like replying to each other and it's more like a conversation. If you wait until right before the due date and then you post your initial posting and 2 responses, you're not really having a discussion with anyone. You're just putting out what you need for at the last minute. So anyway, just try to stay active early on the discussion board. Please be respectful of each other's opinions, even if it's not something that you agree with, just be nice to each other. Okay, and then finally you'll have your comprehensive final, which is open book, and there is no time limit. So you can literally search through and find every answer. So just give yourself plenty of time when the time comes, and that's a long ways off. It's open all the time. Like as soon as Unit 5 opens, you can take the final. If you're wondering when the final is, it's anytime during Unit 5, those 2.5 weeks. Okay, and then there's a document called Grading Guide. There's another one called Tips for Success that gives details on how I'll be grading. You'll find that grading guide document on the announcements page, so please read through that for more information on specifics of how I will be grading. Okay, and then finally, I wanted to finish with building faith in the Savior. So this is like one of the main principles of BYUI's mission statement. All of our classes focus on bringing it back to the gospel and building our faith and our individual testimonies. So I think that fits really well with a child development class because families are central to the plan of salvation. It's like so much of the things that we learn about can be applied to gospel principles. And using the things that we learn to help your own family or families that you know or people in your ward or your neighborhood, it really is a class that you can go back 20 years from now and say, I learned that in child development and now I'm actually using it with my teenager. It's really good information for raising kids. And then I'm going to be giving lots of spiritual thoughts throughout the semester. That's one of my favorite things to do, actually, is to send out a weekly spiritual thought. So I hope that those help you. I hope that I'm not overwhelming you with way too much stuff, but I just feel like it's really important to bring the Spirit into our classroom. So I like to give spiritual thoughts every week. So that's it for the overview. As always, please email me if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon.